First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
You guys, we did it. We got through all of season 4.
Wow. We got through high school.
We did, guys.
High school's over.
I think that was a line you said. We did it.
We made it.
You guys, we have Danneel Ackles with us this episode. She watched the episode with us, which we don't normally do with our guests. Danneel, it was nice to have you gasp along with us.
Yes, it took some turns that I didn't remember.
Yeah.
Same.
Some dark turns.
It felt so fitting having you back on this last episode. It wouldn't have been the same without you. I'm glad that they brought you back for this.
Thank you, Joy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool that you got to join us today because, you know, in the episode, Rachel pops back up and it's her party. And today you pop back in and we're just here to listen.
Yeah. That was good. It was really fun. Some of that stuff, like, I think at one point, Joy, you were like, I don't remember doing that. Like when I watch it, and I don't know if this is like a common thing that y'all found as you're watching this stuff, but I'm like, I don't remember doing that. I do remember not knowing that dance at all because
the Spice Girls dance.
Because I come in like halfway, and so y'all were doing this whole other part that Liz and I didn't have to learn. So we were just at the practices and talking. And so when it came to the actual day, I was like, oh my God, I don't think I know this. I remember like having panic attacks about it.
Oh yeah. They were so mad at us for not knowing it. But now that I'm watching it back, I actually think it's great. I love that we didn't all know the dance. It would have been really weird if we had all just happened to know this dance. That would have been so strange.
It looks more authentic.
It looks more authentic, but I gotta say, guys, we've talked so much about how we didn't know it. We look pretty good. I was like, if we were any more synchronized, we'd look like a dance troupe and not like a bunch of kids.
Exactly. We looked like a bunch of kids who knew a dance.
No, we made a creative decision for this episode, and it was to go half-ass and have it look natural.
Guys, it was so half-assed that when we were filming, I was so tired. We were all like, those nights were late and long, and it was so many people to film and so many, moments to capture. And when we started doing the dance, I was like, can you guys see my shoes in this shot? Is this a wide shot? And somebody said no. So I put my sneakers on in the dance on one of the wide shots that I thought was supposed to be all on our heads. And apparently it wasn't. So as many fans have pointed out, the Easter egg over the years, you can go back and forth between my heels and my sneakers.
It's magic that way. It's just magic. You guys, obviously, we're talking about season 4, episode 21. All of a sudden, I miss everyone. So this aired June 13th, 2007. Who wants to read the synopsis? Danneel, do you want to do the honors?
In this season 4 finale, Dan turns himself in and confesses to murdering Keith.
Dun, dun, dun.
That was the dark part.
Mm-hmm.
Haley gives birth to her and Nathan's baby boy. Deb babysits so Nathan and Haley can attend an end-of-the-year party. Rachel returns to Tree Hill to celebrate their last night as seniors with the crew. And Lucas wrestles with his post-high school options. And Peyton and Brooke prepare to spend the summer in Los Angeles together. A lot going on.
So much.
Wow.
Big
Let's
feelings.
talk about our babies being born. And we need to give a round of applause to the mothers who were able to wear zip and button-up pants 2 weeks after giving birth.
Those pants, let alone dancing, let alone playing basketball, let alone having sex 2 weeks after you had a baby.
That's right.
Yeah, nobody does that. And birthing a 6-month-old baby.
This
You had the biggest baby ever.
A clean. That baby came out squeaky clean and very fat.
Very huge.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Do you guys think that we contributed to any teenage birth rates? They were just like, see, Haley did it. It was no big whoop.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, she got to go to the party.
In real life, it would have looked like you would have been covered in blood in that labor and delivery room with a baby that big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You would
Scared
still
out
be
of her
wearing-
mind.
What's that underwear that you have to wear for like 2 months after you give
Depends.
birth?
Depends.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
It's like this mesh they give you at the hospital.
It's amazing. I
Mhm.
took some from the hospital because I loved it so
same.
much.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, I loved it.
The mesh.
Yeah,
dude.
those
Oh.
are good underwear.
All I can think about, because y'all have done this, and I have a friend who actually had an 11-pound baby.
Oh my
And
God.
I asked how it went, and she said, I have 3 words for you: 3rd-degree episiotomy. And I went, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. No, absolutely
Wow.
not. I'm fine.
Wow.
There's no way. No.
Yeah.
And I just cannot, to your point, I can't fathom that some of the stuff we do in the hospitals on these episodes are just insane. Like, where was our medical supervisor going, guys, you need a baby half that small.
Yeah.
Somebody give me a jar of raspberry jelly. Like, do something that makes this look real.
But this is the stuff that happens. I'm sure they had a baby planned, and either the baby showed up and it was way bigger than they said it was going to be, or
Right.
the baby they had planned suddenly was sick or couldn't come in, or like at the last second they were like, sorry, we can't come over. And somebody called, they were like, send out an APB. Does anyone know anyone
Who's
with
got
a
a
baby?
baby?
Who has a baby to come over here right now?
Yeah.
Take
Oh,
whatever you get.
man.
I loved all the. I mean, we've made fun of all the jailhouse and hospital theatrics on our show, and all the leaps of faith. It's like, is the audience going to buy this? Are they going to buy that Lucas is in that auditorium in the hospital? I've never seen one of those.
Oh,
You would never be allowed. And what's also crazy to me is that the opening scene is so beautiful. I love that the whole teaser, nobody's talking, and it's just the lyrics of lightning crashes, and all this big stuff is happening, and it's elation, and it's sadness, and it's happy moment, and it's danger. And then there's that epic shot where they're racing the 2 women down the hall, and they turn the gurneys and they go into the rooms. But that signifies an emergency. Like, Karen is coding.
Yeah.
She's being rushed into the OR. And then you cut in the OR and the doctors are just standing there looking at her going, come on, Karen.
Well, they did the squirt with the syringe.
Squirt.
They're not giving her any meds. They're not operating. Like, they're doing nothing. They've rushed her into an operating room to stand over her. And I was like, man, how did we get away with this stuff?
And where was Haley rushed to?
Labor and delivery is a totally different
Yeah.
wing.
Yeah, a different floor. But let alone, like, you're in your room for a long time when you're ready to deliver the baby. Like, you've already been in there for like 12 hours. They don't like take you to another, unless it's like an emergency, you know.
No, on her
Situation,
first child,
but-
she went from 0 to 10 dilation over the course of 45 minutes. Quickest
have that
labor
baby.
ever.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And then went to a party in a leather waist belt.
Lost all the baby weight in 2 weeks.
Incredible.
No, I'm still wearing maternity clothes and my kid is 5. I'm just like, oh, it's so loose. It feels so nice.
I'm so comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, I loved that opening too, Sophia. I thought that was so beautiful. Felt really nice to have an emotional start off to this last episode it really took its time. And, you know, all joking aside, I thought it was really beautifully done and very, it got my heart. It made my heart happy.
Yeah. Well, and them being able to pull off that shot, choreography like that for our friends at home, you know,
in the
extras
hospital?
playing doctors, pushing the gurneys and, you know, cameras coming around the corner. Like, that stuff is not easy. And it's funny to see all of us, you know, now that we're directing and producing, all go, oh, they nailed it. Like, we had total technical appreciation for the crew on that one for sure.
So Dan turns himself in and just,
I wasn't surprised. It had been building up.
it's weird that no one like circles him, that no one moves. He walks in and it's just this very like somber, I did it. And the next thing we know, he's in a jumpsuit.
Yeah, like he's already been to trial.
Yeah. It would have been so nice, to your point, if creatively we'd had people come around him still with no dialogue, you know, the music playing, you know, you see people asking, what are you talking about, all this stuff. Imagine him going to get fingerprinted and to get his mugshot taken.
Yes.
Those would have been nice scenes for us to have watched.
Yeah, I want a Dan Scott mugshot. How come I don't have one of those?
Me too. I want one on a coffee mug.
I have a Dan Scott coffee mug.
Do you of his mugshot?
No, but that would be funny.
I want that.
Yeah, that's what we're into.
Somebody's doing it right now as we speak.
Let's make one for Paul for his next birthday.
Aw, he would love that.
Honestly,
Love that.
I think it'd be sweet.
The moments with Nathan and Lucas, they kind of bookend the episode because we have this moment between the two of them at the beginning where Nathan's going into a hospital direction with Haley and Lucas is going in the other with his mother, and they check in with each other and they hug each other. And that's how the episode ends as well. And I like that they kept checking in with each other in these moments. Because that's how the show started. And to see that they're in this super healthy place in spite of Dan, it's great. Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like where we get to in the end when they have that moment talking about their futures that starts with Nathan apologizing to Lucas, saying, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you. I loved that the response wasn't, it's okay, or I get why, or whatever else it could have been, that it was, I'm sorry, I was right. It was the perfect way to be clear about how tragic it is for the both of them. And I thought it was a really smart choice. And I like the way the boys played that scene off of each other a lot.
Yeah. I love seeing the two of them together.
They're both good guys now. I kept thinking one of them was going to turn into little Dan. It didn't happen. They're both sweet boys. Sophia, you had a fun episode. You just got to roll around with cute little Stephen Coletti the whole time.
Oh, cutie Coletti. You know what's so fun is to watch him because, and I know we talked about this, is it last season when Chase started? I don't even remember. It must have been, right? Season 3?
I think it was just this season.
Or was it this season? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, whenever Sweet Chase shows up, Stephen was so nervous. He'd not done scripted work. He wanted to be an actor. And it's weird to feel this almost like maternal sense of pride.
That is weird.
Watching just how good and present, like he, I don't know, he feels like my little baby brother. Like I took him under my wing, and showed him around Wilmington and made sure he was okay. And
he's like, I don't want to be your brother. I don't want to be your son. I want to be hot.
We all teased him for being such a goober. And it's really sweet to see the way that he's so comfortable and present. And I like Brooke and Chase. I like that he's sweet to her and he gives her space to be sweet. And there's no expectation and there's no salacious energy. And even the way they are with each other physically feels tender. And I just really enjoyed watching that. I think it's a nice representation for high school kids for sure.
Did it feel fast to anybody else, Chase and Brooke?
Oh, yeah. But our show feels fast all the time.
Yeah, no, I think falling in love super fast is really fun. I like it. Let's be in love. That sounds great, right? But I love that there was zero expectation that she was going to still be his girlfriend when she left. Like, it wasn't like, we're going to write each other, we're going to call each other. It was like, hey, it's been real. Thanks for that.
This was fun.
But in a nice way, in a very respectful way. It was like he did say thank you for this amazing night. Thank you for the best night of my life.
Yeah.
But not in that, because that line could have been delivered in a, I don't know, more pervy kind of way. But the way he says it is so wonderful. I can't even believe that he was, I didn't know he was nervous through any of that.
Yeah.
And thinking back, so now everybody does every medium. I mean, actors go on to reality shows and vice versa, but then they really did. Then if you were on a reality show, you did not go over to a scripted series without criticism, without people going, oh, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Stunt casting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when Paris Hilton, she did an episode of Jensen's show around the same time because everyone was bringing in these and everyone was like, oh, we're so mad. And then she did a great job and people were not, people were surprised. But the thing is, they're all acting anyway. They're all acting on these scripted series,
She's been pretend forever. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think what's interesting too, to your point, Danneel, is now we know that none of those, quote, reality shows were just being filmed. We know all the kids were being told who to go out with and what to say and what drama to stir up at the party. But back then, nobody knew that. So everyone assumed they didn't know how to do it. And I know Steven felt really nervous about that coming on our show. I know he was really nervous when we did the scene in the car on this night.
Aw, he was.
And actually, he was really like flustered about it. And it was really, really sweet.
What a nice change of pace to have someone be like, I don't want to touch you too much. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
I know, right?
To go from like a guy biting my face in season whatever to Sweet Steven being like, I don't want to be, what's okay? I'm not sure where to, I don't want to look at, like just so scared. And he did something really, really funny. I don't remember who told him to do it. Maybe it was James or maybe it was Antoine to like break the ice when we had to do the scene for the first time where, you know, I've got to pull my top off and be in a bra. Steven like leaned in like he was going to kiss me and then pulled off his sweatshirt and he was in a bra. And I fell apart.
I remember seeing that.
Yes, I honestly thought it made it into the show, but then I realized, of course it didn't. I guess it's in one of our blooper reels or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
It was so funny. And I mean, we just cackled like kids. And then for the rest of the night, we had a really, really sweet time.
That's a great way to come in on a series and just to like make everybody feel comfortable and, you know, jump in and be a part of the gang. It was great.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could have done that. I couldn't hide anything under that Pamela Anderson dress. I was pretty much.
I know you.
I would have, if there'd been some way for you to like shimmy out of the latex and be in the Bjork like swan dress.
Right.
You were not set up for success. No.
I was not set up for success.
No, but when did you find out you were coming back for the finale? Do you remember? Because you didn't come with us to Honey Grove.
No, I think it was maybe like a week or so before we shot it.
Really?
Yes.
You can come.
Yeah, you should be there. And I was really grateful for that because it felt. I think had I not been able to do that, I would have been really sad.
Yeah.
Because it, you know, in a way we were we were in high school together. We did a second high school and I would have been sad if I wouldn't have been able to say goodbye to that. So
yeah,
it was sweet. It was, you know, it was good.
Well, I just remember the night you and Liz spent the night at my house, but so my parents were living with me during the tail end of this season because they moved down to Wilmington. And so Liz and Danneel spent the night like normal, but then my dad, I guess, heard us really drunk giggling in the back room and didn't know what was going on and got up in the middle of the night and like was horrified that he walked in his boxers and like it's just all these like girls in a room.
Weren't we sleeping in that room with all the clothes in it, like where you would sew things and there were like dresses hanging all over the walls? And because my boyfriend was in my room and my parents were in the middle bedroom, and so you, Liz, and I slept in the back, and it just my dad was so mortified. He's like, there's just all these very lovely young ladies in the house, and someone should have told me. Sorry, dude.
It's hilarious.
Giggling and trying to pretend we were sober, going up those like 150-year-old stairs that are like this.
But it felt like high school. Like I felt like I was in trouble.
Can't even fit on the stair. Oh,
you got to go sideways.
No, I was sneaking around trying to make sure like I didn't get caught. My parents can't know that I drink. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of parents. I mean, it was nice to have a little roundabout with Deb coming back to being responsible and caring and loving and, you know, trustworthy and
funny
and so great with little Jamie. And then Karen, I mean, Moira absolutely wins all the gold stars for this episode, in my opinion.
She's incredible.
It's such a heavy lift.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching. I mean, she's one of those actors that actually both of them, the scene in the jail with her and Paul, I felt like I was watching a real movie.
Yeah.
Not a TV show, like a teen drama TV show. That was like, that was serious work. It was great.
I had chills the whole time.
Yeah.
When she was speaking to him through that glass, I could, like, rolling chills from my arms to my toes. I just couldn't make it stop. It was so visceral, and it's so amazing when you watch someone perform that way, and it's so cool when it's someone who you get to see so often, and then they do something that you couldn't be prepared for.
Oh, yeah, guys, we were so lucky to have them to show us. I mean, we were just young actors trying to figure it out. We didn't have like an acting coach or, we were just kind of figuring it out along the way. And there's a lot of times and a lot of directors that would come in and it was like, oh, good enough, whatever. But to be able to be surrounded by that kind of professional level of acting and storytelling, we're so lucky.
Well, Joy, you said it, like they committed to it in a way that anybody else would have been like poking holes in it. Like, okay, well, Karen's going to the jail. Who's watching her baby? And how are they going to let her in? Like poking all these holes in it because that's easy. And they didn't get to make script adjustments. So they just took what they had to do. And Paul committed. Like Paul, Dan Scott trying to hang himself and failing again. He's just a failure at everything he tries to do, even killing himself.
In the fetal position.
The fetal position cry.
That was the best work I think I've seen him do. In a sad emotional state. He's done a lot of great work in a lot of different emotions, but that was my favorite anyway.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, I kept wondering do you think that spit that Karen does was scripted or was that her?
I think that was
I
her.
don't know.
I think that was Moira.
I'm wondering. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh, I bet you that was her. I bet you she did that. That was my first, because it was so good and it just felt so unexpected.
Yeah.
And it was like a really juicy, like wad of spit.
Yeah.
It
was.
It wasn't light.
Yeah, it wasn't like she'd done it 10 times in a row.
I feel bad for her, though, because everyone else is having the time of their life in this episode, and she's, like, trudging through. Karen never gets a break. Like, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Are her and Deb good at this point?
I feel like they are, aren't they? Oh, no, the last thing that happened was Deb dropped a gun in the cafe that went off. I think that's the last interaction they have had, isn't it?
I can't remember.
I can't either. I love when they're good, though. So I don't remember what happens with them after the time jump.
Oh, no, Deb told her in the bathroom. She's like, stay away from Dan. He's bad news. Don't do that. And Karen did it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I need that girl gang to get back together.
Same. I like them together a lot.
And I like that Deb doesn't want to be grandma. Good for her.
Well, it's really interesting, right? There's a lot of these moments that we get in the episode where people are experiencing enough vulnerability to voice, I'm not ready for this next part. Deb is like, I don't want you to call me a grandma.
Guys, she's our age and she's playing a grandma.
No, that's insane. And we're all sitting there going, wait, we're not ready. Like I say to Chase, I don't want to be gone. And we talk about how weird it feels that, these seniors, these juniors now, they're going to be seniors and we're just, what? We're done? We're gone?
Yeah. Your whole life as you know it just changes in an hour.
And I really like that we got to do that we all got to express the excitement for what's coming, but also wishing we didn't have to go. I mean, Peyton does it with Lucas. It is really wild. Even our stuff, Danneel, when Brooke gets to give Rachel her diploma, it's like, we did it. Yeah. But what's that mean? Like now it's over? Oh no. And it's so real and so sweet.
Yeah. I loved that part because I just loved Rachel and Brooke. I love Rachel and Brooke.
Yeah. I do too.
Because they really loved each other. They just, it was just, there was so much competition and all of that. But at the end of the day, they really, I think, respected each other. And it was sweet.
I loved all of that. And it is interesting that, I don't know, I felt a lot of that emotion very viscerally. Some of the conversations we were all having in those scenes, like I feel them in my body again. I remember what it felt like to be scared of what was coming and to read, you know, the lines in Lucas's book about Brooke, and to realize that all these characters in their own way were afraid of, what am I going to become? And will I be what the people who love me think I'll be? Is it all going to be okay? And I don't know. It feels really alive still. That's one of those things, like when we talk about, you watch a scene and you can like smell the air there. I remember being in those rooms at night, and it was, you know, some nights were really cold, and then randomly that last night at the River Court was warm, and we were throwing our jackets off and people were kicking off their shoes. And I just remember the way that all of that felt.
Yes. I remember, was it Christy Vespi running around with a little butane curling iron on our hair?
Yeah. Because it was so humid.
Yes, it was the humidity. That was great, that River Court night.
The scene where you're like, I'm scared, just like voicing it. That was at Airlie Gardens. I remember that night like it was yesterday. Like you and James coming up to Chad and I sitting on the benches. Do you remember that? Because we split up. We shot like a week at that house, but then we shot a bunch of exteriors at Airlie Gardens because it matched the lake that was at that house. And that was that night where you and Lucas had your scene. But I like that Haley said, I'm scared. Because this whole time you've been like, yeah, I'll have a baby. I'll do that. It'll be fine. I'll graduate top of the class. I'll just do that. It's totally fine. I'll get married in high school. It's fine.
Yeah, no problem. I got this.
But graduation, this party, now I'm freaked out. Now it's real.
I know. She's had to be, I guess, it's funny because she has older siblings, but for whatever reason, she took on the role in her life of like, it's fine. Don't worry about me. Parents, take care. Probably because she had siblings that were a little unruly. So if she could be the one that wasn't creating any drama, it was like, oh, easy role to step into. But yeah, it's nice to see for her after all this time of just being like, I got this. I can do it, to finally have a moment of actually have no idea what I'm doing. And it's terrifying having a baby. The first time you have a baby, it's so scary.
Every day is scary.
Every moment. Yes, every day, every
with
moment.
Bits of joy and stuff like that. But I mean, every day.
Of course. Well, that's what makes it worthwhile. I mean, that's what keeps you going. But the terror of like, am I doing this right? I'm every possible thing that you do, you're afraid could actually kill this human being that is yours. Yeah. And it's absolutely terrifying.
Well, and we haven't really seen Haley do anything to prep. Like, you didn't take Lamaze classes. Or you
didn't read no books.
No books.
There was no baby proofing of the house.
No. Not at all.
All the drawers open and closed. It's no problem.
And like, also, are you breastfeeding? Like, what's going on? There's all that trauma. Like, a man told this story.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yes.
I just remember like 2 weeks after my baby being born, my boobs leaking everywhere and just being like, what am I doing?
Oh, I was like in a wheelchair on set.
Or like wearing cabbage.
Oh, cabbage.
Yes.
Remember the cabbage? So like
cabbage,
for those of you who don't know, will kind of stop your breasts from leaking.
Yeah.
And it can actually, if you leave it on for multiple days, like I
when I was
done breastfeeding, I left it on for 3 or 4 days and it dries you right up. It's the oddest thing. I don't know the science behind it. Someone go Google it, but it's wild. But I always smelled like old wet cabbage.
Mommy.
But we were out there dancing to the Spice Girls and Haley was like, I'll be in the front. Oh my God.
I do like the convenient bun that Haley threw in because after like 2 days of being at that house, it was like, I got to get my hair up.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. That's probably exactly what happened. I was like, guys, it's too hot. I can't. I got this cardigan on. I'm in jeans. Can't handle it anymore. Long sleeves and jeans. Oh, the things we did to make it work. I had no idea. And I had a baby like 3 or 4 years later. And it's so funny. So funny watching it back now. Just it's weird to pretend to be pregnant and have a baby when you've never had that experience. You just don't.
You did a great job. I bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
It was the slow
perfect.
motion. That's all, Danneel. It was just the slow mo.
I thought it looked pretty real. But I didn't do a natural labor, so I have no idea. My idea of like natural labor is the movies, and Hilarie, who I feel like was like, yeah, I'm in labor right now. I think it was you were telling me like, yeah, I'm just standing in the shower. It's fine. I'm good.
Just texting. It's fine.
I guess it's okay. I guess it's not that bad.
Danneel gave me that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, because I had a baby. I was 26 when I got pregnant with Gus.
I don't know why I gave you that. I mean, I probably just looked up, like, what do you give someone that's pregnant? That's got to be it.
I would have never even known to go get a book.
Right.
But Danneel gave it to me, and it's like, it's slightly horrifying because it takes you through month by month, and there's so much to do. It's just list.
Sorry.
And no, listen, I learned a lot. Gus is still alive, so it worked.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's really hard to screw it up. The truth is, like, almost nothing that you're going to do is going to kill your baby. You're fine.
No, and I love that Deb turned the phone off. It's just
yes.
She's like, guys, relax.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a very sweet scene. And you said it earlier, Joy. It's nice to see Deb in a parental role. And I like that she gets to be the one who reveals the joke that you're both sneaking away to call. You know, it's a very cute reveal. It's a great way to do a little bit of exposition.
And she's very self-deprecating. She's like, yes, I'm not on drugs, but bring me some. Like, I love it was so
bring me
sweet.
some.
Yeah.
Speaking of drugs, Danneel, I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you guys all remember this, but we were filming all night. So this house that we were filming at was due to be destroyed. The children of this estate, their parents no longer lived in this home. They had sold it to a developer. This house was going to get torn down. So they were like, yeah, you guys can do whatever you want to it. So of course our production's like, we're going to go balls out all night long for a whole week.
Graffiti the walls, light bonfires.
Dude, it's going to be nuts. But what that meant was it's the very last episode of the season. We are all already so exhausted.
Yeah.
The previous episode had been all daytime. And so our body clocks were scheduled for all daytime.
Yeah.
This episode was all nighttime, right?
Yeah.
And so all the boys were loading up on like Red Bulls and Monster Energy drinks and 5 Hour Energy and like all that kind of stuff. And that shit makes my heart hurt. I can't drink it. It makes my heart hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I go to the freaking like Harris Teeter, right? And I pick up caffeine pills and come into the hair and makeup trailer and make the Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell joke. I'm like, you guys, I'm so excited. And we're like, okay, great. You know, I want to say like each one of them was the equivalent of like 3 cups of coffee. And so we all were taking them and like joking about it. And like, you know, Liz is there. Everyone is just kind of in like a slap happy mood. Yeah. Because we have to go into work at like 3 and then stay up till 7 o'clock in the morning.
The next day. Yeah, it's insane.
So we're taking these pills and, you know, you guys know this was not a good episode for me with our boss. It was like the worst. And we shot most of our episode during the week. And then we had our weekend where our wrap party was going to be. And then you had to pick up a couple more days after the weekend. So we're at the wrap party and we're all like, you know, sing karaoke and just having a good time. And I find out our boss had spread the rumor that that I was the ringleader and we were all doing cocaine to stay up while we were filming. Yes.
I recall that.
He was telling everyone I was doing cocaine because we'd had an altercation with one another and he wanted to discredit me. So he tells everyone that we're doing coke. And so Danneel and I, maybe Elizabeth too, I don't know who else was in on this, maybe Lassiter, we went to Edge of Urge, which is a shop that we've told you guys about a lot on the show. And she just so happened to have these T-shirts in that had a picture of this dude from like the 80s on it with blood coming out of his nose. Yes. And the shirt said, Coke blows. Yes. So we hear this rumor at the wrap party and we're like, that guy for telling lies about us. You guys, I didn't even smoke weed until just this past year.
You were the actual clean teen. I hate drugs, hate them, just not for me.
So we all show up at work on Monday wearing these Coke Blows
Yes.
t-shirts.
I wonder where mine is.
I still have mine. It's in an attic.
I probably do. I
Yeah.
probably have it in a box. Okay.
Ugh. It was the most perfect piece of merchandise for the moment because
Yes.
it let him know, like, we're on to you, you motherfucker. You're spreading rumors about us. They're
Yes.
not true. And instead of being butthurt, we're going to make fun of you and wear
Yep.
these shirts all day at work. Oh,
Yeah.
So good.
But by the way, just so you know, after you left, he did a whole nother round of that, either like season 7 or season 8.
fantastic.
Because how inappropriate he was being with the next batch of girls he brought into the show was coming to light. So he started another whole thing that all the girls were doing coke and and it was like, what is wrong with you? Also, do you have one story a decade?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so embarrassing. And
no one was doing coke then. That's
No
a good
one.
90s thing.
Right. I was like, oh, what? Maybe if he would have said like hot, maybe, but not even. I mean, it was like, that was not the thing.
No.
I mean, drinking, yeah, maybe. I might have been like guilty of that once or twice.
Drinking? Yeah, we drank all the time.
there was nothing else to do there.
Yeah, that's not illegal. But it makes me wonder how many like casting directors and producers
Yep.
and executives back in Los Angeles heard the rumor that Hilarie Burton's doing cocaine, which
Well,
I still have
can
never
tell you.
touched.
I can tell you one or two did because on my next job after that, I was asked like,
What?
so how much of a problem like are you? How much of and I'm like, I'm kind of no problems. I don't
We're good.
but yeah. That was definitely he's like, okay, because I spoke to like one of your previous employers. I was like, hey,
Mm.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he loved being in that seat, getting
Yeah.
those phone calls because he was super happy to just say anything that he could to keep people from hiring us at any
Yeah.
moment.
He called my bosses on White Collar. When I got my job on White Collar, they're like, we got a weird phone call. And
Yeah.
I'm like, of course you
That's
did.
exactly how it started with me.
hmm
Interesting phone call from your previous employer. I'm like, Warner Brothers? What? Who?
Yeah.
They're like, well, no, it was an individual. I'm like, okay, I know.
You're like,
never mind.
oh, I know who it is. It's also just such an odd thing when you really think about it. For someone old enough to be our father, to be mad that girls young enough to be his daughter didn't want to have sex with their married boss.
Yeah.
Married for as long as
Right.
we'd been alive, essentially married, that he would then try to ruin people's careers. It's so shocking and it's so petty and I don't know if you remember it, Hill. I'm gonna lightly refer to something that if you want to talk about because it's your story, but we have that lovely moment. Brooke and Peyton have that scene and I'm emotional with you and you're really emotional with me. And it's such it's a moment that I really love to watch because it's beautiful. And it makes me really sad because we were alone in that scene. There's a wide cut where there's a bunch of people behind us, but what you do with all the extras when, there's people behind them, but then the actors face each other in a different direction is the extras go away so that things are quiet and it's easy to mix. And we hadn't been alone in a while, I don't think, you and I, in a scene like that, if I'm remembering correctly.
Not since we were brutally attacked at the prom.
That's right.
Oh, God.
And things were really getting as intense as they've been that people know about. They were getting worse by the end of this season. And there was a moment where in, rehearsal, our boss walked up and started, grabbed us both by the shoulders and started, very aggressively rubbing our backs. And I remember freezing up and looking at you, and you looked at me, and you really let him have it. And it was a moment where I saw the shock on his face that you snapped at him. And I remember finally feeling like I could take a deep breath because somebody else had seen it and it was happening to somebody else. It wasn't an isolated incident. And it was a moment where when you think about all the stories he liked to tell about all the girls, where being in the room and seeing your reaction, I went, oh, a bunch of the shit that we're all being told about each other just isn't true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got it. And it was a big moment, and I've never forgotten it.
Well, he had crafted this episode as his fantasy, which is why Elizabeth is in a little leather skirt, and it's why Rachel's back, and it's why we're all doing a dance routine. And it's why Peyton is saying, oh, I just love sex so much. You know, it's why I had to make that line sound really stupid and goofy, because it wasn't scripted to be stupid and goofy.
What was the line?
Peyton, is talking to Clean Teen Shelley, and she's like, oh, no, I think it's cool. I would have joined your group, except I love sex so much, And it wasn't scripted to be like goofy, and I was directed to do it not goofy. And I was like, no. I mean, you can tell the episode is a fantasy, and he made us all take group photos with him in that house. He came up to our dance rehearsals. We were doing dance rehearsals in the second story of the house while they would set up cameras and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he would not stop touching people. And it was relentless. And I knew it was happening to me. I'm watching it happen to Danneel and Elizabeth and you.
Yeah,
Like, he's touching everybody, touching Lassiter, touching everybody. And so to your point, he came up and was like rubbing our shoulders. And I said, stop touching the girls, dude. Stop. I'm telling you, as your friend, stop touching the girls. And like, I looked at you, and it felt like telling the truth for the first time. It's like when you speak back to your father figure or your boyfriend for the first time in front of people. It's like, how dare you air our dirty laundry, you know? And so that was the Friday night of that week that we shot at the house. It was the last day we were there. And so I went to the production office at dawn, the same way I always did, because my boyfriend was an assistant director. And, our executive producers are all there. Greg Prange, David Hartley, the entire AD staff, my brother's there. Like, everyone is in the production office drinking PBRs. And it's like, awesome. All right, wrap party is, in 12 hours, whatever. And I get, somebody came to the AD's door and said, our boss wants you in his office right now. And this is why he spread the coke rumor. I had to go in there, and he just fucking launched into me. How dare you? Don't you ever speak to me that way in front of people. What the hell are you talking about? I don't touch anybody. I don't touch anybody here. You're spreading rumors about me.
Whoa.
And just completely was gaslighting me. I'm like, dude, I'm friends with your wife. Like, I'm telling you, you have to stop. And he said, I'll never forget it. He said, you think we're friends? I'm not your friend. I'm your boss. And don't you ever speak to me that way again. And he's screaming at me. And those walls in the production office are paper thin.
Yeah.
And I remember, my brother, my boyfriend, my boyfriend's dad are all on the other side of these paper thin walls, and no one came.
Yeah.
No one came. And so finally, Greg Prange came in and was like, hey, is everything okay in here? And so, cut to years later, the night that Danneel introduces me to my now husband, we're in Timmy Nolan's Irish pub. And I didn't know Jeff from Adam. I'd never met this person. And Jeff, he leans over at one point. He's like, hey, are you getting screwed with your boss? The same way Danneel is. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. I'm done. And he was like, I'm going to kick that guy's ass. And it was the first person in my whole life who had ever said it. And I believed it. And I still believe it. I know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it was just for so many years, when you're the loud girl, you're just kind of expected to fend for yourself.
Yeah.
And that was the first person that was ever like, oh no, I'll destroy that guy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me go do it right now. But that moment of clarity with you that night, I cried when we watched it because I felt like it was the first time you really knew who I was. You knew that I wasn't his girl.
Yeah. Well, you know what was really interesting? And I have chills listening to you talk about what he said to you that night because, and we talked about this in the beginning of the show, but early on, Red Dress episode for me, when groped me on set and I hit him, just like reflexively, like it was a reflex. I got groped by a man and I hit him. That's when I got it. But what scared him, because it was so early that he wasn't like in his power as a successful TV creator yet, he went back to the production office and he was screaming at Mike and a bunch of the writers, telling them what a bitch I was. And I will never forget, it took till the end of season 8 for our sweet writer, Mike Harrow, to tell me what had said to him, because he had been so scared, getting screamed at in the production office in LA. And because he was an intern or like a writer's assistant back then. And when got home, he was yelling about what an entitled little bitch I was. And all the writers were pretty freaked out. And Mike Harrow said, I tried to crack a joke. And I said, well, maybe she's just a 21-year-old girl who thinks she's entitled not to get her ass grabbed by her boss. And he screamed at Harrow and said, who the f*** do you think you are? You're going to say that I did that? I didn't do anything. And yelled at him and threatened his job and told him if he liked working there, he better never talk to him that way again. So it's all the same. It's the same MO.
Yeah, I mean, what's the clinical diagnosis of that? When you clearly see someone do something and then they're like, never happened.
Yeah, but the thing is, our boss knew he f***ed up with me. And so he did a lot of work with you guys to make me the bad guy.
Yeah.
And he punished me on camera with things I had to do with story arcs that he gave to me. He punished me in the public. Like, he put me through the ringer with the press, and he punished you on our set. He spread rumors about you. He wanted all of us to think, oh, she's a problem. Oh, she's got a weird relationship with fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And the thing that happened that night, like it feels like it again. Like it was like a jolt. Like I felt like I got struck by lightning because I watched him say something to you and do something to you, and it was exactly something he'd done to me. And I saw the look on his face and how mad he was, and I'd seen that look before, and I just went, oh, he does this with all of us. Oh.
Wow.
And it did. It really changed. It changed everything. And the ways that we had been manipulated and the ways we had been separated, like it all started to change after that night.
It was never good again for me. Like I have struggled in this week leading up to this recording because I'm like, is this healthy for me to like keep digging into this stuff? And what I struggled with was there's a actress who was on our show who I recently touched base with, and she was quieter during all the Me Too stuff. And she said, I'm always scared that he's ghostwriting. I'm scared because he was never held accountable, because the executive producers of our show never like publicly said, we won't do business with him anymore. We're so sorry to you girls. Like, because there was never any kind of closure, someone is giving him ghostwriting work somewhere. And there's this fear that we're going to walk onto a set one day and be confronted with that.
Yeah.
And it's, it's the boogeyman in the closet. And so, to talk about it over and over again is just like, I am making the commitment to continue talking about it so that other showrunners don't operate that way. And so that he's got no safe passage. I also
think, look, I get the mission of it, and I think that's really important for all of us. I know that the things we've gone through on sets have activated us all and made us the advocates we are in a lot of ways. And I think it's also really important. Like, I've been talking about this with my therapist a lot because these last few weeks have brought up a lot of shit, I know, for us as a group. And he just keeps saying to me, this is your story. You get to talk about your story. You get to tell your story. You get to process your story. You get to need help with your story for as long as you need it. And if other people didn't want you to tell your story, maybe they shouldn't have forced it to be written this way. And, it's hard to look at it because, what you experienced that night, the way you got yelled at, it's exactly the shit I was dealing with in Chicago. And also had a group of men who were like, I love you so much. You're our best friend.
You're on your own, kid.
Who never got involved and never stood up. And I know some of them are mad that I acknowledge that when we talk about this show as well. And you know what? I don't care. Because that fear that I'm going to keep talking about it better be what makes you behave better on every set you're on. Like from the time that you left North Carolina and from the time that I left Illinois, like they better behave better. They better be a little afraid.
Be a little. I do
be a
love
little afraid.
the piece of poetic justice here is that he crafted his ultimate fantasy. He's like, I'm going to have all the girls all at the same time, and they're all going to be slightly slutty and dance for me. And it imploded so spectacularly. Just like, you put all of us in the same room to compare notes?
Man, I went through a lot of my own version of that in the group that I was in while we were on the show, and a lot of this, the same sort of patriarchal sociopathy, I guess. And as I'm listening to you guys talk and I'm thinking about my own journey, one of the things that makes that kind of abuse so hard to heal from is that for me, I can only speak for myself. It has made it so hard for me to grow because growth requires trusting in the people around you. Like if I'm constantly being told I'm a problem, I'm the problem, I'm the problem. And I was being told that on the set. I was being told that in the group that I was in. I was being told that in my marriage. It was like everywhere, I'm the problem, I'm the problem. And then I get out and I'm in therapy and I've got good friends, and suddenly like my life starts turning around and I'm going, and everybody's telling me, Joy, you're not the problem. I mean, you're not perfect, but like you're not, this is fake. This was all like an attempt to control you. And so then I start going, oh, okay, I'm not the problem. I'm not the problem. But then that becomes my narrative, so that whenever there is a moment in life when I actually do need to grow, it's really hard to recognize it and not go back into the default of like, no, I'm not the problem. You weren't there. The proof is here. I'm not. It's not me. It's not me. Like that's my knee-jerk reaction, and it's like painstakingly slow now with growth, because it's so hard to trust, to know who you can trust when someone does lovingly tell you, hey, this isn't the best.
It's part of the journey of healing too, to recognize what your triggers are. Yeah. Like I've had to learn where I throw my fists up. I'm ready for a fucking fight. Like I'm ready all the time. And I've had to learn how to deal with that trauma and go, okay, if we're dealing with this sort of complex after effect, and my knee-jerk reaction when I feel poked is to get ready to throw a punch, how do I take a deep breath and give myself a second?
Yeah.
And it really struck me like, we're all able to talk about this as adults, but one of the things that struck me watching the episode, and that strikes me even now, is like, you had been through such shit with him, Danneel, and you got asked back. And I'm only really realizing now, like, God, you came back and we got to have that moment, all of us girls, to have that closure together. And you came right back into an environment where you had been, just like Joy's talking about, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. You'd gotten so shit on our set. And like, it just makes me cry. I'm like, you came back for us? Like,
I came back to see you guys, and I think the irony of all of that was when I got there, and I've been thinking about like, do I bring this up? How do I bring it up? Because it's a delicate situation, and I think the gist of what happened on that episode to me was the night we did the dance. Bevan came to my trailer. And she was furious with me, and would not speak to me, and was just like, I know what you did. And it's so fun. And Bevan, she's my sister. Bevan does not get mad.
No.
Yeah.
Bevan will condone anything.
She is like not judgy. She never and so I was just like, And I literally had no idea what I did. So I was like in the middle of like seeing all my friends and being back in this environment, so happy. And and then she comes in and I was like, is this like a joke? This is a joke. This is like some sort of like practical joke here. And she was like, no, Danneel, like it's really fucked up. And she walked out.
Whoa.
And it was something, and what it was is not important. But it was something he told her I did that I didn't do. He brought me back there to alienate me from Bevan, who I was very close to.
Yeah.
And, you know, and we came to find out, of course, as we all did, you know, months later, like once we're back home, oh, you didn't do that? Because he had such an excellent way of pitting us all against each other. And at that particular point, she was close to him.
Oh yeah, she'd cycled in as we cycled out.
Yes, we had all had it. I mean, I was like, I'll come and play, but it's to see my friend.
Well, and we did huddle up, like it was the don't go to the bathroom by yourself kind of situation.
And I was, and so when that happened, that was the night of the dance, and I just like, I'll never forget it because like there was nothing I could do to convince her that day, and eventually I did because we got together and figured out where it came from. And then we both got really mad at the right place and pointed our anger at the right place. But that's just another example of like what happens. And so when I watched the whole episode for me is that, because it was just like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You brought me back to do this to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm going to humiliate you.
Yeah.
You thought you could get away.
Yeah, it's a methodology of control. It's exactly what you were just saying, Joy, about your other experience. Yeah. It's let me figure out a way to isolate you as much as possible. And if that's your safe person, I'm going to ruin it.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to come to me. So you have to keep coming back to me so I can keep telling you who you are and who you aren't. And it is dark.
Before we figured out that's where it came from, he was the first person that came to be like, is everything okay? I'm like,
did he rub your shoulders?
So gross.
I don't know, but I do remember. And I was like, no, it's not okay. And like, I can't believe this is happening to me. You know, like it's just that episode was, aside from all the wonderful things, it was dark because of that. You know, it was like there was an elephant in the room for me.
Yeah.
Guys, when I tell you I haven't slept the 2 days leading up to doing this episode because it was so shitty. And I'm like, I can't keep telling this story. I can't keep reading the fucking clickbait, you know, like, because it starts off as one article that's actually like really nice and fair. And then it gets boiled down to just gross headlines that live forever on the internet. And I am like, I can't keep talking about this stuff. But until there's some kind of change in our industry, I don't know how we stop. The only reason that we made it out is because we had each other, you know, and we had good families and we made the choices, you know.
But we still made it out with scars all over our careers too.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also really interesting how the onus is always put on the girls. Well, what happened to her? Well, why'd that happen to you? You know, I've had multiple people say to me when we got together, and I know you know this, Hilarie. I don't know that the other two of you guys know this because you were one of the people I called freaking out when it was told to me. But when the whole gang of us got together to write our letter about our boss, because we believed that there was power in numbers, that it didn't need to be, this is what happened to her and this is what happened to that girl and this girl over here had this. It was like, these are the collective experiences that we as cast and crew, females on this show, went through. I had reps at the time when Me Too was breaking that October. A story was coming out about my coworker in Chicago. And my rep said to me, you're going to have to pick. You can either tell the story about your first boss or you can tell the story about your coworker, but you can't tell both because then it looks like it's your fault.
Yeah.
And that was professional advice.
Wow.
But you picked us. You picked us.
Of course I did. And I always would. I would forever.
No, thank you.
But like, you know, when people on that other job say, why won't you stop talking about it? Or why did you need to bring it up? I'm like, you have no idea what I withheld that's benefited you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's the truth.
In the same way that we all feel about our boss on this show, the way I feel about the predator on that other show is I'm not going to be able to take this chip off my shoulder until you face some fucking accountability.
Yeah.
Because you got to do this thing. You got to scar all these women. You got to hurt all these people. You've left a body count in your wake of people who have to go to therapy and do all of this gnarly work. And we didn't ask for that. And I agree with you. I don't know what we're supposed to do until there is some more accountability. I don't know what we're supposed to do that our boss was allowed to never make a comment. I don't know what I'm supposed to do that my next employers rebranded sexual assault with witnesses as, quote, anger management issues in the press. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do with that. And I don't know what to do with the fact that they get away with it. But every time I go on a set that's lovely, I start to go, okay, this set was bad and this set was bad. This movie was really great and this movie was really great and this show was really great.
Everything
and
else
this
is
other show
nice.
was really great.
Yeah.
Like every other environment has actually been amazing. It just sucks that the ones we've been in the longest have been the worst.
Yes.
You know?
Danneel, now that you're producing, like how much of this affected how you and Jensen run your own shows?
Oh, all of it. But also, I mean, we only hired people that know how to behave themselves and are upstanding. You know, our showrunner for Winchester's, which we just did, is so wonderful and so kind and caring with the actors and wanted their inputs creatively, checked to make sure they were okay with scenes when, I mean, just across the board, hiring people to begin with that we trusted, you know, and then checking in. We did a lot of checking in with the actors, which is something nobody really did for us, and treating everybody equally. Like we're all part of this production. We're all going to, you know, yes, the showrunner is the top, but the showrunner still getting together with the actors and asking how they feel about things genuinely, I think is beautiful. And, you know, you feel that when you're working on a production. So we wanted to make sure that, that was done on our first project. And, but yeah, you don't work with people, just because, oh, this person's a great writer, but we know there's a little bit of stuff in the background that wasn't even a consideration, then that person was off the list. You know, as we're working on projects, we're always thinking about that. Especially a project where you're putting young people. I mean, we've all talked about that. I mean, young actors, you know, there's comments I don't think I'll ever get over, you know, being called old neck, and like having to laugh that off, because I have like lines on my neck that I've always had. And
you have a swan neck, Danneel.
You're beautiful.
But
God.
But you know, like old neck, the squeaky voice thing, them working it into the script, then, you know, I just got off the phone with the network and you're gonna have to try a little harder because you're not as pretty as the other girls.
It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
And I mean, I totally believed it. I was like,
Danneel.
you're right.
It's so insane. You walked onto set and we all went, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly.
What do we, like, I could barely look at you when you first got there because I was like, she's so pretty.
But y'all were all, you know, we were so young and it was like that One Tree Hill was my first big thing. So I was nervous and didn't really know what I was doing. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I'm not as, got it. Try harder because you're going to have to.
Insane.
This is a network of beautiful people. And I was just like, okay. and just the delivery on it was so matter of fact. Like, listen, this came from the high ups. And I was like, okay, you might not want to watch this scene because when you're crying in it, it's like really puffy. You know, like it's like, okay,
Jesus.
okay, gotta learn, because I know some people look great crying. I legitimately do not, you guys.
Oh my God, you crying with Uncle Cooper? We raved about that, Danneel, because you look like a girl. Like you went from being Vixen to girl. No, you look beautiful.
But you know how when I cry, I legitimately, my face gets like 2 times more puffy.
But it's human. You're a human being. Like everyone looks bad when they cry. There's maybe like 6 people on the planet who look just absolutely stunning when they cry. But is it a real cry? I don't know. Because you know what? If you're really sad, you're fucking wrenching your guts out and you don't care what your face looks like. And that's the truth.
So, yeah, I mean, we are like those kinds of scars. Like you just think about it and I'm like, oh, you know.
Well, yeah.
Your next job, you bring that into your next job. I 100% brought that into my next job. I'm like, okay, gonna have to try harder on this one because I'm not as great as everybody else. And like, it's just,
it's not true.
We're all confident people because in a way, because we got into this business. But you know, the insecurities are definitely there. And, you know, putting your art out there.
Mm-hmm. And when people purposefully pit you against your friends to make you feel like, you know, you're the least of this group, isn't it so weird as adult women to go, oh, he did that to each one of us. Wow. He did that to every single one of us. He made us each feel that way. I'll never forget. I don't know if I ever told you this, but just an example to return to you of how crazy this was. Y'all were with me. I was going through one of the most horrific times of my life in season 3.
Yeah.
I was not okay. And truly from the stress, just like experience that I was going through, I wasn't sleeping. My hair started falling out. I'd lost a bunch of weight. Like there was nothing I could physically do to stop it from showing on my body. And I remember our boss coming up to me one day really early in the 3rd season and putting his arm around me, walking from base camp to the set and going, look at you. You've gotten so skinny. You look like you've been doing heroin or hanging out with Hilarie.
Oh, God.
Because he always told me that I was fat because I wasn't as skinny as you.
Yeah.
And he like said it to me like it was a compliment. And I was like, hi, I'm dying. I don't know how to go to sleep anymore.
Like, how do you, I really can't wrap my brain around somebody functioning like that on a day-to-day basis. Like what the hell kind of a world do you live in?
With kids.
Like you guys, we were kids. We were in our early 20s. None of us was old enough to rent a car yet. We couldn't rent a car.
I don't know how you watch the magical like basketball scene in this episode and see all of that youthful exuberance and think, I want to fuck those kids up. Like we're so alive and right on the cusp of like doing the next big thing, and we all had so much ambition and potential and silliness in us, and
why wouldn't you want that for your as a producer now? Like, you know, you and I love Meg Donnelly about as much as I do, and I
my God, obsessed.
I am just like, you know, what don't I want for her? Everything. I want her to get everything. We were talking about something earlier, and I was like,
no, I'm producing a movie, and I'm like, oh, Meg Donnelly, can I have her? What can we do to build her up?
You're like, I need somebody like young. I'm like, you should use Meg, you know? And it's like, I think that's the difference. And I want to see everybody I'm working with do amazing things. And like, oh my gosh, the world, I don't want to take everything from them. But I think that's the difference with someone like him is just, I want to own you. You're here because I said yes to you and no one else would have done that. And thank goodness I gave you this break. Thank goodness I put you where you are.
Yeah.
You know, and One Tree Hill was my big break. And yes, you did say yes to me and thank you. But the rest of the work I'm doing myself, you know, and the audition I did myself, you know, it's but back then I really couldn't think that way. You know,
Yeah.
I was too young and too green. And
Well, we also just didn't know that there was a world where we could be mentored instead of stepped on.
You guys,
Right.
I did. He was mentoring me. He was absolutely like, we're going to start a record label together.
Yeah.
We're going to do this production company together. So I had started a production company this season 4 of One Tree Hill. I started Southern Gothic Productions.
Yeah.
And the scene that Chad and I shot in my Comet convertible by the water, I will remember that day as long as I live, because he was directing and he was seated up with me on the back seat while we were waiting for the camera to move. And I'm like, and we found this script, and this guy, Nick Gray, my best friend, like wrote it. And I was like so excited. I'm like, and we're going to take it to this person, and we have UTA looking at it. And like, there was all this momentum.
I remember that.
And he just stopped me and he's like, honey, you're not smart enough to be a producer. Just enjoy being an actress. It's so much less work. And so I just want to say, God damn it, we're all producers now. So eat a bag of dicks. Every single one of us is a producer now.
Yes.
that's just a terrible way to look at things. And I think from what I've seen on my end, that dynamic is changing. It's changing in the writer's room, definitely, that we had for Winchester's. There wasn't a us against the actors, you know, the producers against the actors. Why does it have to be like that? It doesn't, you know. In order to have a good production and turn out a good show, everybody has to be on the same page, working together. The best idea wins.
I was just going to say that. Yes. Best idea wins. That's my favorite.
It's just like watching a production work like that is so much more beautiful. And then I don't think producing, I would argue that acting is harder, but I don't know. Maybe depends on the film or movie, I guess. But yeah, that's upsetting. I remember when that happened to you.
We had good stuff in this episode. We had really good stuff in this episode. And so for the fans at home that love it, I don't want to shit on it, because I love it too. And I think that's what's so confusing, is that it can be an awful experience, but a thing that we still love. I loved that house.
It's reflective in this actual episode. I mean, like, that struck me right off the bat. I mean, it was just like, it's so great and it's so bad. Yeah. And that was my experience in this episode. Was I had so much fun. I hadn't seen my friends in a while. I was coming back. I had done a film in between, and I felt like more confident in what I was doing. And I came back with like, yes, I'm kind of doing good. And then I got like smacked in the face. But so it was the episode of highs and lows, both on and off camera for me. Yeah, for sure.
I think what's really important to reiterate about stuff like this, and you're right, is that it's both. You know, you can grow up with a complex family and have had nightmare times with them and beautiful times with them. And I think it's really important to remind our friends at home that, you know, they watch an episode that's an hour long, but this took us 8 days for 17 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Some of those hours were terrible and really hard, and we were prepared for battle almost every day by the end of season 4, when we'd come to work and our boss would be there. But we also had times where we were having so much fun together. And I see that in us when we're dancing and we know we don't know the words. And I remember the words, the moves. I remember when I got to a point, I was wearing pumps and they kept trying to fly off my feet. So the wardrobe rubber banded my shoes to my feet.
Hilarious.
And after a while, I was like, I can't feel my feet, you guys. If I fall on you, I'm so sorry.
Oh my God.
And like, how funny that was. And I remember, to your point, the exuberance. Like when we got to the river court and people started kicking their shoes off and we were throwing our jackets, he wasn't directing us to do any of that. We were doing it because we were together, and there was beauty in it. But I think it's very hard when the world has only seen and celebrated the beauty of an experience to be the one who knows there's pain. Like, you got to cut it out and you got to clean out the wound. And I'm proud of us for doing this together. And I'm proud of the people who listen to us, who talk about how it matters and who are motivated to share about their own lives because of things we share on the show. Like, I really think healing is contagious. And so, you know, you said it, Hill. He can eat a bag of dicks. Look at us now.
All the dicks, my dad. Look at us now.
Look at us now. Is that the title of this episode?
Yeah.
I
love it.
God. I just love that there's a whole new crop of young actors coming up through you, Danneel, because you know how to prepare them and protect them. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I think just, you know, we need to just share that message the most, you know, on how to behave. I think that's the key. And also the young people coming up now, man, I can't imagine somebody on set grabbing someone's ass and that person not just turning around immediately, you know, or somebody singing. Like, it feels like we are close to real change.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, these kids have social media. God bless them. They can just tweet some shit out real quick. I wish we'd had that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good for them. I love it. Do we have fan questions, or do we want to just pick an honorable mention for this very conflicted episode?
Yeah, I think let's go for honorable mention.
You know, I loved Lee Norris jumping off of the roof and making his way down to Brooke Davis.
Yes. And punching that guy.
Grabbing that solo cup.
And punching the guy.
I love it.
Yeah.
He's sorry. You look great. I
loved
that moment.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish Mouth and Rachel would have kissed. I
I
wanted that.
know.
Yeah. You were being punished. Sophia
I
got
was
your
being
present.
punished.
I love
Oh,
it. Yeah.
God.
No, Mouth had a nice reclamation, and he never went creepy. He didn't try to sleep with Shelley. He didn't push it with Brooke. It was just, I love you. You're my friend. Good luck.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
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 Sweet. Ladies, oh God, we graduated. I feel like we could take a breath now. I'm going to sleep tonight.
yes.
Yeah. This episode's done.
Danneel,
babe.
thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you. This was good. A little bit of therapy.
Absolutely.
All right, let's spin that wheel. What do we have this week? This is the last wheel of high school, ladies.
Ooh. I hope it's about high school.
Well, let's just apply whatever it is to high school.
Okay. Like in bed on a fortune cookie?
Most likely to become a momager. Oh, well,
I mean,
duh.
it's you.
It's Brooke, right?
Yeah.
Brooke.
Oh my God. I feel like because Brooke's mom was her CEO, she would never, but maybe.
We all become our parents.
Yeah.
Well, all right,
would.
then Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Deb could go momager.
By the way, I was just going to say if Brooke did it the way Barbara's done it in real life,
yes.
where she's raised her
Yes.
girls to be these amazing actresses and then goes and works on their shows to make sure they're safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like they're obsessed with her, like they're having the best time. I'm like, that could be fun.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Barbara is the perfect example of the best way to do it.
Yeah.
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 She wins.
Agreed.
Love you, Barb. Okay, friends, next episode. I can't believe it. We're time jumping to season 5, episode 1, 4 years, 6 months, and 2 days.
Oh my gosh. The only thing I remember is Rachel being a junkie. Danneel, before we lose you, do you want to give any like drug advice or
Don't do drugs.
Don't do them, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come back for that episode. That crazy
Okay,
one
great.
where I'm
Okay.
in the shower.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about in that episode.
So much good stuff. Good Rachel stuff coming up.
Woo!
I love it. All right. We
All
love
right,
you, baby.
everybody. See ya.
I love you.
Love
Thanks for
you.
joining us, friends. Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at Drama Queens OTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iheartradio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, Drama, drama queens, drama queens.